And, of course, it branched into what can we do with stem cells to help to better reinforce and make skin stronger and make skin healthier. And that's really how she came to actually developing this skincare line. Quite a remarkable story. And there are other stories along the way as I go through the photos that you'll see in this presentation are from personal friends of Lori's. They weren't taken through a laboratory study, and so there are stories involved with each one. Of course, the science of stem cells is relatively new, especially in the skincare realm. Stem cells are our natural defense against deterioration of the body. Early in life, they're responsible for human development. Later in life, they are a repair system for the body. When we're born, of course, we have an abundance of stem cells, and the stem cells provide an abundance of these growth factors and messaging molecules that actually tell the cells what to do within our body. As we age, we have fewer and fewer stem cells. We don't need them because we're not developing anymore. And so, consequently, we have fewer of the growth factors that actually go with that. So with fewer signaling molecules, especially in the skin, because it's the last area of the body to be taken care of, we have less and less ability for the skin to repair itself. So let's get a little bit more detailed about what stem cells are. Basically, a stem cell is a single cell that can either replicate, in other words, make more of itself, or if it's in human development stages, like in embryonic stages, the messages from the growth factors and proteins tell these cells to differentiate into the various areas of the body. These are called pluripotent stem cells, and they can become any of the 220 cells in your body. So they would be the nerve cells, the blood cells, the liver cells, etc. They could become anything. These would be from an embryonic stem cell, which we do not use, and they are outlawed in the U.S. You cannot use embryos for any type of research or developing skincare currently in the U.S. Stemulation skincare uses mesenchymal stem cells. Mesenchymal stem cells are from the mesoderm, which is the middle of the development of the human body. A mesenchymal stem cell can actually be drawn from the bone marrow and has the potential to become these other types of cells. A fibroblast cell, important for skin. The stromal cell is a bone marrow cell. A muscle cell and cardiac muscle as well. The chondrocytes are for connective tissue, and the osteocytes are actually for bone. So you can see how versatile these types of cells are. The more potential a stem cell has, the more connective growth factors and signaling growth factors there are to help to, in this case, rejuvenate skin. These are called multipotent cells. The pioneer for this type of science was with Skin Medica, with Dr. Fitzpatrick and Dale Naughton, and they used a unipotent stem cell from a neonatal foreskin. A skin cell is a unipotent cell. It can only become another skin cell. Therefore, it is less potent and provides fewer growth factors. So although this was initially where we started, we have evolved to the point where now we are using some of the most amazing stem cells from adults. These bone marrow cells and the mesenchymal cells, I should say, come from the bone marrow. And they're done in a procedure called a bone marrow aspiration. They're taken from the iliac crest on the pelvic bone. That's the thinnest area of bone on the human body. The cells are actually aspirated with a syringe. They're mixed with the blood cells and other cells at the time, and then the stem cells are isolated. At this point, the stem cells are placed in a highly nutritive solution, food for the cell, and they grow in this solution, in this media. They secrete matrix proteins and collagen into the media. Now the media is conditioned media, stem cell conditioned media. The stem cells are removed, these mesenchymal stem cells are removed and used for whatever research purposes that that lab is involved in. It is the conditioned media, the nutritive solution that the cells are growing in that is used in the skincare products. This is not only nutrient-rich for the cells, but nutrient-rich for the skin, as well as providing all the proteins and growth factors needed, all the messaging molecules necessary to help the skin rejuvenate itself by stimulating the production of collagen and elastin. To actually help you understand where what part of development these mesenchymal cells come from, this diagram shows, of course, the oocyte, which is the human egg. When fertilized, it becomes a morula and then a blastocyst. In the blastocyst is where we find the pluripotent stem cells. The next step in this process is that the messaging molecules and the growth factors and the proteins tell these pluripotent stem cells what to become. First, they become the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm, the inside, middle, and outside of the human body. And then, lastly, they develop into the specific areas, the lung, the pancreas, the muscle, blood, bone, skin, brain, and teeth. So you can see the further away from the original egg, from the original source, the further out you get, the less potent the cells are. So we actually take ours from the mesoderm. That's why mesenchymal is from the mesoderm. So stem cells, we know, have a natural anti-aging capacity. The signaling molecules, growth factors, proteins, and peptides, and the amino acids help to revitalize skin. They actually recognize aging skin as skin that requires repair because their whole function now is to help to repair and heal the body. So they revitalize fibroblast activity, they increase collagen and elastin production, it helps to improve the cellular renewal, and helps to repair the DNA and RNA. So we know stem cells are important initially because they're responsible for human development. Later in life, they're a repair system for the body. These signaling proteins recognize aging skin as skin that needs to heal and be repaired. And this is how we restore youthfulness to aging and damaged skin. So we do not apply live human stem cells to the skin. The stem cells are cultured and processed in a media base. It is the signaling proteins that are contained in this media base, and mesenchymal stem cells provide a high natural concentration of these signaling proteins. So you've heard me mention signaling proteins, growth factors, signaling molecules, and so how are they directly affecting the skin? On every skin cell, there are what we call receptors. There's little notches all around the perimeter of the cell. When these messaging molecules, growth factors, peptides, and proteins bind or bond with the receptor on the cell, this is what activates the signaling pathways for collagen and elastin to form. Now, with using mesenchymal stem cells, because it's a highly potent type of source of stem cell, we get an abundance of these messaging proteins and signaling molecules. Therefore, we're connecting with not only more of the skin cells, but more of the receptors on the skin cells. So in simple terms, this is how it works. You see our little growth factor off to the right. This growth factor actually binds the notch on the skin cell, and once it sits in that notch, it starts the signaling pathways for collagen and elastin to form. So as simple as this looks, this is how it works. And the more of these proteins that you have available to the skin, delivered in a